Long ago, when humanity was still young among the stars, their ships could only travel between planets within their own system. They had not yet learned the secrets of faster-than-light travel. Earth was full of ambition, but also full of limits. People dreamed of touching distant suns, yet they could only send small research vessels and probes into the cold unknown. One of those research vessels was called the Horizon Dawn. It carried a small human crew, scientists and engineers eager to test new engines near the edge of Mars's orbit. For weeks their mission went well. They mapped asteroid belts, studied radiation, and pushed their ship farther than any human ship had gone before. But then disaster struck. A hidden fault in the engine core triggered a massive failure. The ship lost power. Its communications array broke. The Horizon Dawn drifted silently, unable to signal Earth, unable to guide itself back home. Supplies ran low. The crew grew weak. In that moment, the vastness of space felt endless and cruel. No one expected help to arrive. Humanity had no rescue ship strong enough to reach them. It seemed like the Horizon Dawn would vanish into the void. Just another forgotten story, but they were not alone. On that quiet path between planets, another ship appeared, sleek, silver, and shaped like a crescent moon. It belonged to the Aelari, a gentle alien people who had traveled the stars for millennia. Their ship had only been on a small scout mission, observing strange signals from the young human system. They did not plan to interfere, yet when their sensors picked up the broken human vessel, they could not ignore it. The Aelari captain ordered his crew to help. They extended energy beams to stabilize the Horizon Dawn. They repaired enough systems to bring power back. They shared water and food with the starving crew. They even escorted the human ship halfway back to Earth's orbit, making sure no further damage claimed it. The humans were stunned. They had never met aliens before. And their first meeting was not of war, not of fear, but of kindness. The Aelari did not ask for reward. To them, it was a small thing, a moment of compassion. After all, to rescue stranded travelers was natural to their culture. Once the humans were safe, the Aelari left quietly, vanishing back into the stars. They thought the event was small, barely worth memory. But humanity remembered. Humanity always remembered. Records of the encounter were stored in Earth's archives. Stories spread among scientists and leaders. An alien ship saved us. They showed us mercy when we were weak. The tale became legend among spacefarers, a reminder that even in the cold of space, kindness could burn brighter than any sun. Centuries passed. Humanity grew stronger. They learned faster than light travel. They built colonies on distant planets, mining stations on moons, and research outposts orbiting foreign suns. They were no longer bound to one small system. Yet through all their triumphs, they never forgot the Aelari. Somewhere out there was a species that had given them their first taste of compassion beyond Earth. Humanity vowed that one day, if the chance came, they would repay that debt. That chance finally came. Far away, on a shining blue-green planet, the Aelari homeworld faced danger. Their sun had begun to falter. It grew unstable, its surface boiling with storms stronger than ever recorded. Scientists warned that in less than 2 centuries the star would expand, sending waves of heat that would slowly strip their world of oceans, forests, and breathable air. The Aelari debated among themselves. Some believed they could survive by building shields in orbit. Others thought they must leave and find another world. But the Aelari were gentle, not warriors, not empire builders. Their fleets were small, their resources limited. Worse, when they asked their neighbors among the great galactic powers for aid, they were refused. The powerful Ver Dominion sneered. Why waste resources on a fading world? Abandon it. The ancient Telnari Union dismissed them. Your people are too few. The galaxy has greater concerns. Even smaller allies shook their heads. The task seemed impossible. To reshape a planet, to save it from a dying star, was beyond what most civilizations dared. And so the Aelari prepared for sorrow. They did not expect rescue. They remembered their own long history of compassion, but they did not believe it would be returned. They waited for the slow death of their world. Then the skies above their planet changed. Massive shadows crossed the heavens, blocking out starlight. Dozens of ships appeared in orbit, ships marked with the crest of Earth. Human ships, vast and powerful, bristling with strange machines. Their arrival was sudden, unannounced, and shocking. The Aelari had not called for them. They had not even asked humanity for help. Yet here they were. Panic rippled across Alari cities. Some feared an invasion, others whispered of hope. Messages raced from ground to orbit demanding answers. Who were these humans to appear at such a time? What did they want? From the flagship Sol's promise, a transmission came. The image of a human commander dressed in dark blue uniform appeared on every screen. His voice was calm, steady, and carried across the world. People of Alari, long ago when humanity was weak, you found one of our lost ships. You gave food to our starving, water to our thirsty, and power to our broken vessel. You expected nothing in return. But mankind never forgets a kindness. We have come because now it is your turn. Your world is in danger. We will not watch it fall. We are here to help. Silence fell across the Alari homeworld. They remembered the old story, though most had thought it myth. Could this really be the same humans their ancestors once rescued? Could that small act of compassion echo across centuries? The human commander continued, "Do not fear us. Do not doubt us. The galaxy may call us reckless, young, untested. But know this. When someone saves a human life, humanity does not rest until the debt is repaid. We are here to stand with you, and together we will reshape your world." The Alari elders gathered in their shining council halls. They debated for days. Could the humans truly help? The task was enormous. No empire had succeeded in stabilizing a star or reshaping a planet's fate. Yet humanity had come without demand, without request for reward. They had come only with memory and loyalty. Across the planet, ordinary Alari watched the human fleets in orbit. Enormous ships unfolded metallic wings that gleamed in sunlight. Drones drifted like silver fish through the void. Strange machines taller than cities waited to be lowered into the oceans and skies. The sight was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. For the first time in centuries, the Alari felt something stronger than fear. They felt hope. In the galactic halls of power, other civilizations whispered uneasily. The Vare Dominion mocked. "The humans waste their strength. They will fail." The Telnari Union scoffed. "They do not understand the danger. Their technology is clumsy, their minds too fresh." Yet behind their words lay unease. For all their arrogance, none of them had dared to try. None of them had offered help. Only humans, reckless and stubborn, had arrived uninvited. Back on the Alari homeworld, the first human engineers stepped onto the surface. They walked among alien forests, strange crystal towers, and gentle rivers that shone like glass. They greeted the Alari not as strangers, but as friends. They carried tools, blueprints, and machines. And always they carried the same words on their lips: "We remember." The Alari elders finally spoke to their people. "We once gave aid without asking. Now that gift returns to us, greater than we dreamed. Let us see what these humans can do." And so the partnership began. Humanity had come to repay a debt written in the stars. What began as one rescue long ago had grown into something far greater. Now it was not just a matter of kindness, it was a matter of survival, of worlds, of suns. The humans looked up at the unstable star burning above and said, "Let us begin." The human fleet remained in the skies above the Alari homeworld like a constellation of new stars. Their vessels glowed with steady lights, their engines humming with quiet energy. For days, the people of the planet stared upward, wondering if the humans would truly keep their promise. Rumors spread across every city, every settlement. Some spoke with excitement. Others whispered with fear. The Alari had known of humans only through fragments, messages carried across trade channels, distant stories of a young species rising quickly. They heard that humans were restless, ambitious, even reckless. But they also heard whispers that humans valued loyalty above all else. Now, for the first time, they saw proof. In the council hall of glass spires, the Alari elders met once again. These were beings of wisdom, their bodies slender and luminous, their eyes reflecting the colors of dawn. They looked upon the sky through the hall's crystal ceiling and debated what must be done. Elder Silin, the oldest among them, spoke with a soft but steady voice. "Humans came without being asked. They bring fleets and machines claiming they wish to help. But can we trust them? They are still new to the galaxy. They lack the centuries of knowledge that others have." Another elder, Iriel, raised her hand. "Yet no other power offered us aid. The Dominion mocked us. The Union refused us. The humans stand alone, though they gain nothing from this but risk. I believe their memory of our ancient kindness is true, and I believe their will is stronger than most think." The council remained divided, But the Elari people themselves began to welcome the strangers. Farmers in the green valleys looked upward with hope. Fisherfolk along crystal shores prayed that the oceans would survive. Children pointed at the human ships in awe, wondering what kind of people carried such determination. On the 7th day after their arrival, the humans began to descend. The flagship Soul's Promise released its smaller vessels, each shaped like silver teardrops. They broke through the atmosphere and landed gently on the surface. Human crews stepped out in protective suits, their boots pressing into alien soil. The air was warm, carrying the scent of flowers and minerals unlike anything on Earth. At first, the Elari kept their distance. They gathered in cautious groups, their slender forms shimmering faintly in the sunlight. They watched the humans unpack crates of equipment, roll out tall antenna towers, and assemble portable shelters. The humans worked quickly, moving with unity, their hands steady even in unfamiliar surroundings. Then, a single human stepped forward to meet the watching Elari. It was Commander Ronan Hale, the same man who had spoken from orbit. He removed the helmet from his suit, letting the Elari see his face clearly. His expression carried neither arrogance nor fear, only calm respect. He bowed his head slightly and spoke. "People of Elari, we come as friends. We come as those who owe a debt greater than gold or trade. You saved us once. We are here to return that kindness." There was silence for a moment. Then Elder Iriel, who had chosen to greet the humans in person, stepped forward. Her luminous eyes softened. "You traveled across the stars, though we did not call you. You bring great machines, though no one commanded you. Tell me, human, why risk so much for a kindness so small done in a time long past?" Ronan's voice was steady. "Because we are human, and humans never forget." The words spread quickly across the Elari homeworld. They echoed through market squares, schools, and temples. Simple words, but powerful, carrying a weight of loyalty that many civilizations had long abandoned. The work began. Human engineers studied the Elari sun with enormous orbital telescopes. They released fleets of drones into the upper atmosphere to measure heat and radiation. They mapped oceans and mountain ranges with precision scanners. Every piece of data was sent to the fleet above, where scientists calculated how to stabilize the planet against its star's fury. At first, the Elari watched with doubt. They saw the humans build strange structures, vast towers that collected energy, massive sails of reflective metal that unfurled high above the ground, machines that hummed with power drawn from the planet's core. The Elari had never seen such methods. Their science was careful, elegant, slow. The humans' methods seemed reckless, almost chaotic. Yet results soon appeared. Where heat storms once swept across plains, the humans deployed energy shields that softened the winds. Where rivers had begun to dry, they used orbital mirrors to redirect light, bringing balanced warmth and rain. In only weeks, small changes became visible. Grass that had withered turned green again. Fish returned to shallow waters. For the first time in decades, the Elari felt the planet breathe with life rather than choke with heat. Still, challenges remained. The humans discovered cracks deep within the planet's crust, channels that threatened volcanic storms. They found regions where the air grew thin, weakened by radiation from the unstable sun. To solve these problems, they proposed massive projects that frightened even the boldest Elari. One plan involved lowering machines into the oceans to release stabilizing minerals, changing the very chemistry of the seas. Another proposed constructing a giant ring around the planet to regulate temperature. To the Elari, these ideas sounded impossible, even dangerous. In the council hall, Elder Silon shook his head. "They will break our world with their experiments. Their ways are clumsy. We cannot let them gamble with our future." But Iriel answered softly, "They are not gambling. They are trying. And trying, even with risk, is more than any other has offered." The debate raged, but on the ground, ordinary Elari began to trust. They saw humans working side by side, never resting, always adapting. When a machine broke, humans repaired it with scraps. When a storm destroyed a tower, they rebuilt it stronger. Their persistence was unlike anything the Elari had witnessed. One Elari child, watching the humans work, asked her mother, "Why do they keep trying when it is so hard?" The mother smiled faintly. "Because they are human." Not everyone in the galaxy welcomed this partnership. From the shadows of space, the Vare Dominion sent spies to observe. They feared the humans' boldness. If Earth succeeded in saving a dying planet, their influence would grow. The Dominion whispered lies into galactic networks, calling the humans dangerous, untrustworthy. Some even spoke of sabotage. The Telnari Union watched with quiet disdain. To them, the humans were too young to achieve such a task. Yet behind their pride lay unease. If humanity succeeded, the Union's centuries of inaction would be shamed, but the humans ignored the voices of doubt. They worked not for reputation, not for glory, but for the promise of a kindness remembered. Weeks turned into months. The first great machine was completed, a planetary mirror array that floated high in orbit. It reflected harmful rays of the unstable sun, protecting the surface below. The Alari gathered in fields and cities to watch the mirror's deployment. They held their breath as the giant plates unfolded, catching light and bending it away. For hours, silence held. Then slowly, the temperature across the equator dropped. Storms weakened. Clouds broke. The skies cleared, revealing stars brighter than they had been in years. Cheers rose from the Alari people. For the first time, hope was no longer only a whisper. It was real, shining above them. Elder Iriel turned to Commander Ronan and said, "Perhaps your people are reckless, but perhaps it is that very recklessness that gives you strength." Ronan smiled faintly. "We call it determination." And so the bond deepened. The Alari, once doubtful, began to work beside the humans. They shared knowledge of their oceans and skies, guiding the humans to safer paths. The humans, in return, taught new methods of engineering, ways of turning weakness into strength. But even as progress grew, danger loomed. The star above flickered with unrest. Scientists warned of larger solar flares approaching. If one struck while the humans worked, it could undo everything. Yet when asked if they would stop, the humans only shook their heads. "We did not come across the stars to turn back now," Ronan said. "We came because of a promise, and we will keep it," the Alari believed him. For the first time in centuries, they looked at the sky not with fear, but with trust. The humans had come, uninvited yet unwavering, bringing hope where none had remained. And in the council hall, Elder Iriel spoke the words that would be remembered for generations. To help a human once is to gain an ally for eternity. The human fleet had been working for months above and below the Alari homeworld. Their machines glowed on the surface, their satellites circled in the skies, and their giant mirrors reflected deadly rays back into space. Everywhere, the Alari could see signs of human effort. At first, the changes were small. Cooler winds in the valleys, steadier rains across the plains, oceans that no longer boiled in certain regions. Then the improvements grew stronger. Crops began to recover. Birds returned to forests. Children laughed again under skies no longer filled with firestorms. The Alari began to believe. But with progress came danger. One morning, alarms echoed through the flagship Sol's Promise. Scientists had detected a sudden surge of energy from the sun. Waves of radiation tore across space, striking several of the orbital machines. Shields flickered, satellites burned, and part of the great mirror array shattered into glowing fragments. From the ground, the Alari watched pieces of fire streak across the sky. Some panicked, thinking it was the end. Others waited, trusting the humans to act. Commander Ronan Hale stood in the control room, his eyes steady despite the crisis. "Report," he ordered. "Mirror Array 3 is gone," an officer replied. "Array 5 is damaged but still holding. Stabilizers in the northern orbit are losing power. We have maybe 12 hours before the system collapses." Ronan did not flinch. "Then we repair it in 12 hours. The humans worked without rest. Crews in small crafts flew out to catch drifting fragments, salvaging pieces to rebuild. Engineers on the ground redirected energy from other machines to support the weakened shields. Scientists recalculated paths, adjusting the mirrors to cover the lost sections. The Alari watched in silence. They had expected despair, yet they saw determination instead. Even when one system failed, the humans turned to another. Even when equipment broke, they improvised with what they had. To the Alari, it seemed as if humans had no word for surrender. But not all problems came from the sun. Late at night, in the coastal city of Sirin, a human supply center was attacked. Explosions tore through storage units, destroying precious materials needed for stabilizers. Several humans and Alari were injured, though none were killed. The attackers vanished before they could be caught. Evidence pointed to outsiders. Small fragments of technology bore the marks of the Vare Dominion. The news spread quickly. Fear whispered across Alari streets. If other civilizations sought to sabotage the humans' work, what chance did they have? In the council hall, Elder Silence spoke with heavy sorrow. The Dominion does not want this project to succeed. They will keep striking until we are forced to stop. Perhaps it is better to abandon this effort before more lives are lost. But Elder Iriel rose to her feet. No, we cannot abandon hope because of fear. Look at the humans. They have faced sabotage, storms, failures, and yet they do not leave. Shall we, the saved, turn away while our saviors stand firm? I say no, her words spread like fire. The Elari people, once cautious, began to join the humans openly. They offered hands, resources, even volunteers for dangerous tasks. Where once they only watched, now they worked side by side. Together they began the second great project, the Ocean Lifters. The humans had discovered that the seas were growing unstable. Rising temperatures had poisoned the waters, threatening to kill entire ecosystems. Without action, the oceans would collapse, leaving the planet bare and broken. To save them, humans proposed lowering giant machines into the depths. These machines would release stabilizing compounds, cooling the waters and restoring balance. But the task was dangerous. The oceans were unpredictable, filled with powerful storms. Still, the humans pressed forward. Elari ships guided the human vessels through treacherous waters. Diverse from both species descended together, carrying tools and guiding cables. Great platforms were lowered into place, shining like silver islands upon the sea. For weeks, the project continued. The seas raged, storms struck, yet the humans and Elari held on. Finally, the first ocean lifter activated. It rumbled deep beneath the waves, releasing glowing minerals that spread like rivers of light. Slowly, the waters cooled. Fish returned, swimming through currents that once had been too hot. Coral reefs that had begun to wither now glowed with color. The Elari rejoiced. Their oceans, the lifeblood of their world, were breathing again. But not all celebrated. From orbit, human patrols detected strange signals. Sabotage attempts grew more frequent. Interference with drones, false warnings, even attempts to hack human systems. The Dominion was trying harder, desperate to see humanity fail. On the ground, Commander Ronan addressed his crew. They fear us because we do not give up. They fear us because we are proving that kindness is not weakness. Let them fear. We will not stop. His words became a rallying cry, yet the greatest challenge was still to come. Months into the project, the star unleashed its fiercest storm yet. A flare of unimaginable power erupted, larger than any before. The skies burned red. The shield strained. Energy surged through the atmosphere, tearing across machines, scorching the ground. Panic spread through the Elari world. Many thought it was the end at last. On the flagship, alarms blared. Officers shouted warnings. The stabilizers could not hold. If the flare struck fully, the entire system of mirrors and lifters would fail. Years of work would be lost. Ronan stood at the center, calm yet burning with resolve. Options? Only one, replied the chief engineer. We need ships to fly directly into the flare and shield the stabilizers with their own energy. It's near suicide. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Ronan spoke firmly. Then we go. The crew did not argue. They knew what it meant to be human. Dozens of ships launched from the fleet, rising into the burning sky. They formed a shield wall between the sun's fire and the fragile machines. Their hulls glowed, their shields screamed with strain, but they held. From the surface, the Elari watched in awe. They saw human ships fly into fire itself, refusing to yield. They saw bravery that no calculation could measure. And they understood. This was why humans were different. Not their technology, not their numbers, but their spirit. The flare raged for hours. Ships burned, shields cracked, but still they endured. Finally, the storm passed. The skies cleared, leaving the stabilizers intact. Humanity had held the line. When the danger was over, the Elari gathered in their cities, lifting their voices in songs of gratitude. They sang of humans who flew into fire, who gave everything to save a world not their own. Elder Iriel spoke to her people and to the galaxy beyond. The humans have shown us what loyalty means. They have shown us that a kindness, even the smallest, can echo across centuries. We must stand with them, as they have stood with us. The word spread beyond the planet, carried to other systems. Many laughed, still doubting. But others began to wonder. Perhaps the humans were not reckless children of the stars. Perhaps they were something more. The humans continued their work. They rebuilt damaged ships, repaired broken machines, and pressed forward with new plans. They were tired, scarred, but unbroken. And as the Elari stood beside them, one truth became clear. The partnership was no longer about debt. It was no longer about one rescue in the past. It was about something greater. It was about hope. The human fleet had worked tirelessly for months. The orbital mirrors glimmered like stars around the planet. The ocean lifters hummed beneath the seas, and the stabilizers stretched high into the sky, holding the planet together against the fury of its sun. Every day, the humans and Elari moved closer to reshaping a dying world into a safe home once more. But the sun's anger was growing. Sensors on the flagship Sol's Promise detected new waves of instability. The star's surface churned violently, massive flares erupting from its core. Heat surged across the planet, threatening to destroy everything the humans had built. Commander Ronan Hale stood on the observation deck looking at the glowing star. His face was calm, but his mind raced through calculations and possibilities. Beside him, Chief Engineer Lyra Kane traced her finger along a holomap of the orbital machines. "We cannot hold it with the current shields," she said. "The flare is far stronger than any we have faced. We need direct action." Ronan nodded. "Then we take the risk. Prepare the crews. We go in together." Below on the surface, the Elari watched the preparations with fear and hope intertwined. They had come to trust the humans, yet even they wondered if this time the challenge would be too great. The humans, however, showed no hesitation. They moved with a determination that inspired the Elari to do the same. As the sun's storm approached, the humans launched dozens of small, agile ships into the atmosphere. Their mission was simple in description but deadly in practice. The ships would act as a moving shield, absorbing and redirecting the most dangerous radiation away from the stabilizers and orbital mirrors. Each ship carried hundreds of tons of energy, their hulls reinforced with advanced alloys. Pilots trained for months flew into simulations, yet no training could prepare them for this scale of danger. The sky above the planet glowed red, waves of solar energy crashing like fire across space. Ronan watched as the first ships entered the flare. Their hulls shone bright white as the heat struck them. Communications crackled. Some crews reported alarms. Some struggled to maintain control, but the formation held, moving in precise arcs to protect the machines below. From the surface, the Elari cheered, though they were terrified. Elder Iriel raised her arms toward the sky, whispering prayers for their survival. Ordinary citizens had gathered in fields, atop towers, and along riversides, watching as humans risked everything for a world not their own. It was unlike anything the Elari had ever seen. The flare raged for hours. Orbital mirrors shook, some shattering under pressure. The ocean lifters quivered, the waters beneath them boiling in sudden bursts. Yet the human crews adapted. Engineers on board ships rerouted power to weak points. Teams in orbit replaced damaged mirrors with drones. Those on the surface coordinated energy flows, redirecting force to areas under the greatest stress. The Elari began to understand the true strength of humans. It was not in weapons or in numbers or in ancient wisdom. It was in the ability to adapt, to think quickly, to risk everything in order to save others. When one of the largest ships faltered, its shields cracking under heat, a group of pilots flew alongside it, transferring energy from their own shields to stabilize it. They risked their lives to save not just the ship but the system itself. Below, on the planet's surface, Ronan's words echoed through comms. "Remember why we are here. This is not about glory. This is about keeping a promise. Stay steady, stay focused, and trust your crew. Humanity never forgets." Even with courage, the challenge was immense. The sun's flare tore at the atmosphere, sending waves of heat across cities and forests. Fires broke out in regions untouched for centuries. The Elari rushed to help, carrying water, shielding structures, and evacuating small communities. Humans coordinated the efforts using drones to control fires, reinforce buildings, and assist citizens. Despite exhaustion, the partnership held. Humans and Elari worked together as one. The humans led with skill and creativity, improvising solutions that the Elari had never imagined. When one stabilizer began to fail, humans repurposed nearby machinery to hold it in place. When a solar panel shattered, they rebuilt it in hours using spare materials. Every challenge met strengthened the bond. Every success built trust. The Elari began to see that humans were not reckless. They were persistent. They were loyal. They were unyielding. At the peak of the flare, the heat became almost unbearable. Sensors warned that if the humans faltered for even minutes, the planet could suffer catastrophic damage. The orbital mirrors wavered. One stabilizer lost energy, threatening to collapse. Ronan made a decision. All crews, we converge on the northern sector. If the stabilizer fails, we cannot rebuild it. Take it under your protection. Move now! The ships responded instantly, forming a dense shield around the critical machine. Heat struck them like a hammer. Energy shields screamed, sparks flying from hulls. Some ships were damaged, others lost temporarily to system failures, yet the formation held. On the surface, the Aelari watched, unable to look away. The human crews, risking everything, were holding the impossible. For them, these were not heroes. They were neighbors, allies, friends, and they were alive with purpose. Finally, the storm began to pass. The solar flare's intensity diminished. The mirrors and stabilizers, battered but intact, had survived. The oceans calmed. Fires slowly extinguished. Cities stood. Forests remained scorched but alive. Humanity had held the line. Exhausted, Ronan surveyed the fleet from the flagship. Pilots returned, some injured, all tired beyond measure. Engineers reported damages, yet no critical failure had occurred. The Aelari ships followed, their crews in awe of the humans' courage. Elder Iriel approached Ronan as the sun's light returned to normal. Her eyes glowed softly. Your people have done what many said was impossible. You faced fire itself and did not yield. You have saved this world, Ronan nodded quietly. We could not have done it alone. Your people helped us. Together, we made it through. This was not just humanity's effort, it was ours and yours. The Aelari bowed their heads in respect. Across the planet, citizens celebrated, tears of relief shining in their eyes. Songs were sung of humans who flew into fire, who would not stop, who never forgot. Yet even in triumph, the work was not finished. The humans knew the sun would flare again. Stabilizers, mirrors, and machines could only hold for so long without permanent solutions. Engineers began planning the next phase, building larger energy shields, redirecting solar flares with more advanced orbital devices, and strengthening the planet's core systems to withstand future storms. But the Aelari had learned a valuable lesson. They had seen what humans were capable of. Their culture shifted from doubt to trust, from fear to hope. They now believed that the impossible was not impossible for humans. Commander Ronan spoke to the Aelari citizens for the first time on the planet's surface. We came because of a promise, he said. Because long ago one of your people helped one of ours. We do not forget, and now we will continue to help. We will not leave until your world is safe. The Aelari listened, hearts full. Across their cities and forests, they whispered the same words that would echo through generations. To help a human once is to gain an ally for eternity. For humanity, this was only the beginning. For the Aelari, it was a revelation, and for the galaxy, it was a lesson. Loyalty, courage, and determination could achieve what no empire, no technology, no weapon could. The sun had tested them. Humanity and the Aelari had faced the greatest danger yet, and together they had endured. The final phase of the work awaited. The sun might flare again, stronger and fiercer, but the humans had proven one truth: they never give up. They never forget, and their answer could reshape worlds even when hope seems lost. The days after the great solar flare were filled with cautious relief. The orbital mirrors still hovered in perfect formation. The ocean lifters pulsed quietly beneath the seas, and the stabilizers continued to hum with steady energy. The Aelari homeworld had survived the worst, but the humans knew that the work was not finished. Commander Ronan Hale walked across the deck of Sol's Promise, observing the crews who were repairing damaged ships and machines. Every face he passed showed exhaustion, but also determination. He paused at a young engineer who was adjusting the controls of a small repair drone. You need rest, Ronan said softly. The engineer shook his head. Not yet, sir. We have to finish the northern stabilizers. They are still weak. Ronan nodded. Very well. But remember, we cannot save them all if we burn out. Even in these quiet moments, humanity's persistence shone. Their crews had learned to adapt faster than any alien civilization could imagine. Every problem became an opportunity, every failure a lesson. On the surface, the Aelari people had begun to move from caution to trust. Farmers worked beside human engineers, helping repair ground machines. Teachers brought their students to observe human operations, showing them the methods of a species that never gave up. Citizens carried supplies, built shelters, and shared ideas. For the Aelari, it was a revelation. Their history had taught them patience, caution, and careful planning. But humans had shown them that sometimes boldness, improvisation, and courage could achieve what careful calculation alone could not. Elder Iriel walked among them, observing the cooperation. Her luminous eyes shone with pride. "We once gave aid without asking," she said. "Now we see that it has returned to us, multiplied beyond anything we imagined." Meanwhile, the human fleet began the final phase of their mission: planetary reinforcement. They deployed giant orbital rings designed to regulate temperature permanently. Energy flows were redistributed to prevent sudden surges. Deep within the planet's crust, human engineers installed stabilization cores, spreading heat evenly and preventing volcanic eruptions. They built automated monitoring systems that could detect flare activity and adjust orbital mirrors instantly. Every machine, every calculation, every action reflected one simple principle: humanity never forgets a kindness. They had come to repay a debt, but what they delivered went far beyond a simple repayment. They had given the Aelari not only life, but a future. The Aelari watched in awe as the final systems activated. The largest orbital mirror turned smoothly, reflecting the sun's rays back into space. The stabilizers hummed, the oceans calmed, and the atmosphere stabilized. Regions that had burned under the flare began to recover. Coral reefs glowed beneath turquoise waters. Forests swayed gently in the newly balanced winds. The entire planet seemed to breathe again. People poured into the streets singing songs of gratitude. Children ran to greet the humans, their laughter ringing like music through cities and villages. The humans smiled but did not stop working. They were too aware that even small failures could undo everything. Then a moment of quiet arrived. Ronan Hale stood at the edge of a cliff, overlooking a valley that had once been scorched and lifeless. Below, rivers ran clear. Fish leapt through sunlight and forests stretched to the horizon. He breathed in the fresh air and felt the weight of months of work lift from his shoulders. Behind him, Elder Iriel approached. "You have done what no one else could," she said softly. "You have saved our world, not for glory, but because of a promise. The galaxy will remember this day." Ronan shook his head. "We only did what any human would do. A kindness was given to us long ago. We simply returned it," Iriel smiled. "Your people have shown the universe a truth we often forget. Loyalty and courage can change the fate of worlds. You are not merely visitors. You are a part of our history now." The news of humanity's achievement spread beyond the Aelari system. Other civilizations took notice. The Ver Dominion, which had once mocked the humans, now watched in quiet awe. The Telnari Union, which had dismissed the effort as foolish, began to reassess their own inaction. Across the stars, beings of all kinds learned that humans were not only capable of survival, but of acts of greatness born of loyalty, courage, and determination. Back on the Aelari homeworld, ceremonies were held to honor the humans. Statues were built in cities depicting ships soaring into the sun, shields glowing bright as fire, and hands extended in aid. Songs were written to tell the story of humans who came across the stars because a kindness had been remembered. Ronan and his crew attended the celebrations quietly, smiling at the joy around them. They did not need recognition. They had fulfilled their promise, and that was enough. In the weeks that followed, humans worked with the Aelari to create long-term systems to protect the planet. Energy grids, environmental monitors, and orbital stabilizers were linked together to form a network that could react instantly to solar activity. The oceans were regulated, the atmosphere balanced, and the planet's surface made resilient against future challenges. The Aelari learned quickly from the humans, incorporating new methods into their own culture. But more importantly, they absorbed a lesson that no technology could teach. That kindness, remembered and repaid, could reshape worlds. On the final day before the human fleet departed, Commander Ronan stood in the capital city with Elder Iriel. Citizens of all ages had gathered to bid farewell. The humans had become part of the planet's life, their work woven into the land itself. Ronan spoke to the crowd. "We came because of a debt long ago. We leave now because the debt is repaid. But remember this, kindness does not end. A small act can echo across time and space. Never forget it. Stand together, care for one another, and your world will survive anything. The Ailari cheered, their voices filling the air. Children waved. Farmers, teachers, engineers, all showed gratitude for the humans who had risked everything for them. Even the stars seemed to shine brighter as the humans prepared to depart. As the fleet lifted into space, Elder Iriel spoke to her people. We once gave help without thought of reward. Today that gift has returned to us in ways we cannot measure. Humanity has shown us what loyalty, courage, and determination can do. Our world lives because of it. The Ailari children looked up, their eyes wide with wonder. One day, one whispered, we will tell stories of the humans and of the kindness that shaped our planet. And they did. Across centuries, the story was told again and again, of a young species from a small blue planet that crossed the stars to repay a simple kindness. A species that risked fire, storms, and sabotage not for power but for honor. A species that proved that courage, determination, and loyalty could change the fate of worlds. The galaxy remembered. Long after the humans left, the Ailari homeworld thrived. The forests grew dense, the oceans sparkled, and the skies were clear. Birds sang, rivers flowed, and children laughed. The orbital mirrors continued to shine, and the stabilizers pulsed with quiet energy. The planet was safe, not by chance, but by choice, by action, by the answer of humans who never forgot. Centuries later, the words of Commander Ronan and Elder Iriel would be carved into monuments, sung in songs and whispered in classrooms. One kindness can reshape planets. Never forget this. Stand together, and your actions will echo across the stars. And humanity, across the galaxy, continued to grow, explore, and help. For they had learned long ago that a debt of kindness is never small, and an answer of loyalty can change the universe. The story of one small act had become the legacy of a species. One rescue had led to salvation. One promise had reshaped a world. And in the stars above, the humans looked back and knew the universe would never forget.